Hi everyone, welcome to Collage, No Pressure Fun. My name is Danielle Hogan and I'm a Canadian artist living in Wabanaki territory. I have put together this little workshop for the Deep Winter Workshop series for the Atlantic Center for Creativity. So let's get started. Basically, to participate in this workshop, you will need some glue, scissors, an X-Acto knife will help, something to cut on top of. It could be an old magazine, you could have a cutting mat, a piece of mat board, piece of wood, just not straight onto your table. And then some old magazines and some paper. It can be just printer paper or dollar store paper to glue onto. Okay, let's get started. So the first exercise that we're going to do is to disintegrate a picture. You want to take any picture, something, it can be a landscape, a person, anything you like, and you want to start cutting it into strips. Start with thinner strips and then get thicker and thicker as you get to the other side of your picture. You can then maybe think about cutting up those strips into squares and glue them onto your paper as though they were falling away. And you'll see here an example of what I'm talking about. So you can do this in any variety of ways. You can cut, you can tear the paper. It's just a very simple, straightforward way to start thinking about breaking up images. Another exercise to try is to think about playing with space. You find an image, and when you look into that image, think about where there might be some things that you can cut out of it or take away. As you can see here in the image that I have, this was a old vintage photograph of a man sitting holding an umbrella, apparently underwater. And so what I did was cut him out. Another interesting thing that you can do is cut out an image. If you're working with a photograph that came from newsprint or a magazine, you'll know that obviously there's always something printed on the other side. And sometimes when you're cutting out one thing on one side, the negative space that you're making on the back side is just as interesting. So remember to consider both sides when you are cutting things out. The next suggestion that I have for you with respect to collage is to think about freehanding or just simply ripping up the paper. You can, this is thinking a little bit more advanced from the first exercise of just tearing or cutting your image up into strips. And here what I want you to do is think about putting two images together. So you have a background image. Here it's a background image of some peonies and a foreground image, which is the one that you're actually tearing up. When I did the one that you see here, I actually put glue onto the black and white photograph in 3 strips, glued it onto the top of the picture of the peony, and then tore away over the top. So it was a little bit of sort of magic or a surprise for me to see what aspects of the peony, the flower in the back, you were going to see when I tore away the black and white image from the top. Another thing that you can explore with your collage is to cut away a part of a picture, so a chunk of any picture that you like, and glue it onto a piece of paper and then start drawing onto that piece of paper. And so you can see here, I cut out a picture of a donut and glued it into my sketch pad and turned that donut into a little waving person. You can imagine that you could cut out a picture of an animal or part of an animal and again give it human limbs or maybe a human from a fashion magazine and give it sort of 4 legs instead of 2. So the next thing that I want to suggest that you explore with your collage is the idea of mixing human and animal features or inanimate object and animate objects, but instead of drawing, you're actually going to glue them together. So here I had a picture from National Geographic or Canadian Geographic of, it was actually in an environment issue. So you can see that the bird has, or the fish has some plastic on its head there, jumping up into the air, and a bird was eating it. And then I cut out from a fashion magazine a picture of a model's eye and put it on top of the bird. Here I cut out a picture of a model and glued it onto a nice, plain, bold, pink background, and gave the model coffee cups for eyes. Always see coffee in my world. There's coffee everywhere. Another thing you might want to explore with your collage is washi tape. These days you can get washi tape basically at any dollar store, but you can also get some really beautiful stuff at some of the more high-end craft stores. And sometimes the stuff the washi tape can come in different widths. And traditionally it is a paper tape, which is kind of cool. Instead of a plastic tape, it makes it easy to tear, and sometimes it can be quite translucent, and you can take any image that you have with you or in front of you and basically either tape over some stuff to make that part jump out. As you can see here, this is a photo from the landscape in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And I have used my metallic blue and pink washi tape to tape over the actual architectural elements in the photograph and leave only the reflection of it that you see in the pool of water there. Another example is to actually, it's kind of similar to the washi tape example that I just shared with you, but it's to actually just have some plain white paint. You can use a gouache paint or an acrylic paint, and basically take a magazine and paint out, choose one element that seems exciting to you or has some interesting lines, and just paint out the rest with the white. So these are all ones that I did. This was an old anthropology magazine or I guess catalog, and I painted most of the models out, leaving the really interesting lines that I found of the clothing. And this is the second to last, or actually the last example, second to last slide that I have for you. And this is another way to, in your collage work, focus or choose an aspect of the collage that you, or of a photo that you want to focus in on. And for this, you'll need either some tissue paper or some vellum. And you want to hold the tissue paper over top of your picture and trace around the parts that you want to cut out. And you can see here I used vellum. I just had a very simple picture of a kitchen, and I traced around a cup, the chair, and also a pair of rubber gloves that were hanging over the counter. And so I traced over those in pencil, and then I removed the vellum and put it over top of my cutting pad and used my X-Acto knife and cut out those shapes that I had traced around, and then glued the two back together. So if you're looking for some more examples like this, there's lots of really great books that you can find online to encourage you to explore collage further. And one that I used for the themes here, all the examples I've showed you are my own, but the book that I used to basically organize the themes is this really great book called Project Collage. And it is published by Tate. And the author here is Bev Spate. So it has 50 collages to spark your creativity. So I hope that you enjoy and explore, and remember that the great thing about art making and creativity is that even when someone suggests that there might be some rules or parameters for you to follow, it's up to you to learn how to go even past those, or to explore as though there were never any rules given to you to begin with. So enjoy, and thank you for having me on behalf of the Atlantic Center for Creativity, and please enjoy No Stress Collage. Take care. Thank you. Bye.